You are now tuning in to the Unorthodox Haven Podcast.
The Unorthodox Haven will cover a wide range of topics to offer unique perspectives, pushing back on conventional wisdom. We hope to inspire self-discovery over emulation. We believe you should think outside the box, regardless of what it looks or sounds like to others. Here at Unorthodox Haven, there is no right or wrong answer, just your own unique perspective.
Yeah, I got you.
So, I guess, first thing first, I guess just tell people who you are.
So I go by the name of Nick I Am, and let me just give y'all a little understanding of why I even created that name, Nick I Am. Mm-hmm. So my name is Nick, but I left the I Am to open up everything that I want to be.
Okay.
Or everything that I am, right?
Okay.
So initially I started off saying that Nick I Am human, right? Because I really wanted people to understand that, and also myself, to understand that I'm a human being first.
Okay.
So I have highs and lows. I make mistakes. I
sure.
do great dope shit. But like honestly, like I'm just human. But I realized that even that was limiting.
Okay.
Right? Because that did not encompass my artistry. That did not encompass the fact that I sing, songwrite, rap, and all these other things, right? So, and also we never know what's going to happen 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now.
Trust me, I say the same thing.
So with that being said, I was like, no, you know what? It's just Nick I Am. Because whatever is to come, I'm leaving it open.
I get that. So when you say your name is Nick, and is this like exclusive to your music persona, or is it like who you always been? Is Nick your government? So,
but it's a part of my government, yes.
Okay, but I guess Nick was the persona arrived with music and artistry, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and really, it's just short. It's like it's cutting off my name, my birth name.
Okay, I got you.
So it's still a part of me. I wouldn't consider it a persona. I would consider it still being a part of me because my name is not. It's not. We're still in line with my government name.
Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so you from, well, before we stay record, but you say you from LA.
Yeah, I'm from LA.
Born and raised from LA.
Born and raised. Yeah.
What part of your mom asking?
Los Angeles, the city.
Angeles. Yeah, it's two parts of LA. It's two sides of LA.
Is it?
I've been to LA a bunch of times, and there's a dark side of LA.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And then there's like the Hollywood side of LA. The people go there for the tourism and all the niceness of the city.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then LA, as people live there, know that, you turn the wrong corner and things go bad for you. So I guess what side of the tracks did you...
The side that, if you turn the wrong corner.
Turn the wrong corner?
Or wear the wrong color.
Right, okay.
If you stare at somebody in their eyes, for too long, yeah, that was like an issue in the past.
So you grew up around gang culture?
Yeah, I grew up in the hood.
So I guess, all right, so it's cool that we sit down because people from Virginia gonna hear this, and it ain't the same here. It ain't how gang banging here is not how it is there.
Yeah.
It's just totally different. Like, here is, we define gang banging a lot different. So I guess what's the difference that you've seen from there to here?
I haven't seen a gang member here. I mean, that's just my point of view.
For sure.
I don't think I've seen somebody that told me that they gang bang. I just, maybe it's because I live in Virginia Beach. Maybe I don't surround myself with those type of people.
Valid, yeah.
And I wouldn't. Sure. I come from, I grew up in, so we have blood, Crips, and blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. So I grew up in a blood neighborhood.
Okay.
And it taught me something different. It taught me something about community. So, right, and this is, I feel like I have a different perspective about gangs that people don't get to know. People only see the narrative of violent crimes, right? But I got to see the inside.
Okay.
I'm not a gang member, but I grew up in it. Mm-hmm. So what I saw is they were really protectors. So we live in this community, and inside, they did everything that every child would do. They played basketball, they played football, they had girlfriends, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They just did things. They played, they played dice, they fought, they laughed, they had sex. They did all of this stuff. They did normal human things. That's who I got to see. I got to see the human. Right? I didn't get to see the crime. So when I think about gang, I learned most of it from, crime TV shows. You know what I mean? Because
that's crazy.
I didn't see that, and I grew up in it.
That's a interesting perspective because usually that, you know what I mean, people don't leave with that perspective, you know what I'm saying?
They don't, so I'm glad I'm here.
Yeah, word up. Like, cause even you saying it, I'm like, dang, you know, you're right. There are people that experience the most violent of areas or whatever the area is, and from a totally different perspective than everybody else know it to be. So that's all right. So L.A. grew up there, and you grew up there till what age?
Well, I've been in California my entire life until I moved to Virginia.
Okay.
So, you know, I moved here, I think I was 27.
Okay.
So I spent 27 years.
Okay,
there.
okay. And did you experience culture shock when you first moved out here?
Not really. So I didn't really experience a culture shock, but I did experience this white guy who wanted to beat me up at this gas station because I was driving slow. I was completely lost. Mm-hmm. And so I thought to myself in that moment, I was like, oh, shoot, there's racism. Right? That was my first thought.
Yeah.
Because I knew that, number one, you know, at the gas station, there's a camera. Mm-hmm. So if I would have tried to defend myself, I just knew that the narrative, I don't know which way that narrative was going to go. So a lot of times, I think in the African American community, we always have to do better.
For sure. I agree.
You know what I mean? Because if not, then we become this, I told you so. Mm-hmm. Right? So it's so difficult and hard to not be that I told you so, because you have to have emotional intelligence. You have to have strength. Hopefully you prayed and believed in God. You know what I'm saying? Because when those things happen, you know, you really have to pray, I would say, in that moment, so that you can be removed from that situation and not respond emotionally like that person.
For sure.
So, you know, that was probably
that's the only time though. Like, I mean, because I get it though, because Virginia, to me, I've lived a lot of different places, and it's never. Racism is rarely like outward. Like, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of racists hide nowadays. Yeah. Like, I mean, it's not, you know what I mean? Because maybe they've seen too many examples of how bad it could go or whatever the case is. Most of it's covert. There's not too many overt racism in Virginia from what I've seen. Now, when it comes to police and law and stuff like that, then, yeah, I mean, we could talk about that, but that happens everywhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? In my experience. But there's no overt racism here like in other places. Like now, Arizona, I lived in Arizona, there's some very overt racism there where people will be outright racist. And you can tell by the way they look at you. You can tell by their demeanor. I mean, you can just tell. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've been to I've been outside with rock concerts where people come out with swastikas all over their body, and you know, and they are who they are. You know what I mean? And for me, I'm one of the people. I don't let that kind of stuff excite me. Like, I don't let who nobody else is affect how I feel. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? I don't get like enraged, oh, you fucking racist, and get all into that. As long as you don't bring the energy my way, bro, you know what I'm saying? You can be whoever you are over there. You know what I mean? And I can't do nothing about that. I'm not about to try to change you. I ain't about to try to engage with you or none of that. You just be who you are. You know what I mean? But a lot of people, they can't take, you know what I'm saying? They see it and it sets them off. And, you know what I mean? But I don't even know what the purpose of me bringing that shit up was, for real. When you said the whole thing about Virginia, there's a reason I wrote it up, but I can't remember why. Because
I had used the word racist. Yeah. So it was very relevant.
Yeah, Virginia's just different though. I don't know. I like Virginia, but I hate Virginia at the same time. But this is my home though. I grew up here till I was 18. Yeah. And I left for 17 years, and then I moved back. Okay. You know what I mean? And the only reason I moved back to be closer to my mom. I'm a totally different person now. After you leave all them years like that, you come back, I'm not the same me. I don't see the same people no more. Yeah. Even if I do see you, it's kind of like, oh, there goes such and such. I think I know him. Yeah. And then I keep it moving. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just different worlds. All right, so music. So you moved to Virginia. Were you doing music before you moved here, or?
I was writing music for like 10 years.
Okay.
I started writing music when I was 14, and I have to give credit to my cousin. Okay. Because at the time I was a huge fan of like Bow Wow, and so I was like, how about? Because he was like, hey, I want you. He rapped and he produced, he played, and he was a complete musician. He could play whatever he put his hands on. He could do. Period. What? He could be an electrician if he wanted to. What? That dude could fix anything, literally. But he was like, hey, I want you to get on this song.
Okay.
Right? I was like 14 years old. I was like, okay, well, can you write it? You know what I'm saying? Do me like how they do Bow Wow. Write my stuff and I'll sing it. And he said, no, you need to write your own stuff. And he said that like selfishly, right? But I want to tell you that that was the biggest blessing that he had ever even given me. And he didn't give it to me intentionally.
Word.
But I took it as an outlet to just write. So like I would say when I first started writing, I would say, you know, in all honesty, when you first start writing, it's not good.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was not good for a long time.
Okay. From your perspective.
From my perspective,
okay.
Yeah. And then I got to a place, when I turned like 18, I got to a place where I was able to write a hook. Because like I would say hooks are my specialty.
Okay.
So I was able to write a hook like instantly. I could listen to a beat, write a hook. I didn't even have to hear a beat. I could just write a hook instantly to have a sound. So my hook started to sound like Chris Brown and Carrie Hilson, the people of that time. So when I was writing music at the time, I was writing music like energetically for these artists that I had already loved already and were fans of.
Makes sense.
But when I came out here, this is when I started to tap into my greatness, my level of greatness. So I started my own podcast called Chats with Nick Podcast. But what it was actually a catalyst to push me to walk into my purpose.
Okay.
Because I got motivated by all of these people in the 757 area who are already doing great things for themselves. And I got inspired.
Dope.
Right? So I started writing all of this music, and I started talking about stuff like, you know, top topic on my list is sex.
Okay.
Sex, love. I started talking about, I got a song called Dear Daddy.
Okay.
Where I'm starting to like break down this naked truth. My father died when I was 13. So here I am talking about trauma, right? I'm talking about abandonment, right? I'm talking about family challenges. I'm talking about God, right? This year I dropped my first gospel song called Thank God. And so, and thank God, I really sit down with myself, right? I sit down with myself and I just think about everything that God brought me through.
Word.
When people look at me, I can't tell you what other people think because I really focus on like what God has for me and my thoughts.
Word.
I start connecting to self, and thank God I talk about some stuff that people can't tell by just looking at me.
Okay.
God brought me out of a repossession. I got my car repoed. While I was in LA struggling, I used to get like eviction notices every month, but through the grace of God, the guy, he always allowed us to be late.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? They allowed us to be late so we can have extra time to pay.
Yeah.
I talk about addiction through there. I talk about so many things. I talked about getting my phone shut off because I couldn't afford, you know, to pay my phone bill.
Word.
Right. So just by looking at me, people may not be able to see like, hey, I've been through struggle too.
Correct.
So thank God I was able to talk about my struggle and I was able to talk about the breakthrough, right? And all that God has done for me so he could just pull me out of that. So today I can look at my ceiling, right? And I can be like, thank you, God, right? And even as I look at the ceiling, I can say, thank you, God, because you got the lights on. That's a blessing.
Word.
You know what I'm saying?
The small stuff.
Yeah, like it might be raining later on today, but guess what? You have a roof over your head. You don't have to figure out how you're going to figure that out. And so when you realize the real blessing, right? Even in mobility, speech, eyes, to hear things, like when you think about all that stuff, you're like, you know what? I am blessed.
Yeah.
Not because of how much money I have. No, I am blessed because I have a roof, because I have eyes to see, because I can breathe, because I'm not on a ventilator.
Listen.
You know what I'm saying? Because I haven't lost a child. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I haven't been diagnosed with some type of illness that is killing me on the inside out. Like, I am blessed. But even if you're going through those challenges, God gives us hope for tomorrow.
What's hope to you?
That's such a great question. Hope gives me the idea of optimism that everything's going to be okay.
I guess, you know, when I asked that question, I asked myself, do I believe in hope? Okay. And so that's why I wanted to hear your definition of it. And well, I believe in optimism. I don't know if I believe in hope. Based on what the definition you just gave me. And, and I think it's because I guess the idea of optimism to me is a selfish thing. You know what I mean? And because it's something that is totally out of your control. My optimism about things going right, like I have no control if things are going to go right or wrong, or what my perspective of right or wrong is. I have no control of none of that. All that I can do is react. You know what I mean? And I guess for me, it's all about being prepared for the reaction, because life is going to do whatever it's going to do to you. It's going to smack the shit out of you. It's going to lift you up. It's going to tear you down. You know what I mean? It's going to do whatever. It's going to spin you around. It's going to do what it does to you. But how you react to it is the only thing that matters, because you can't control the outcome of none of this shit. You know what I mean? Anything that I do, I can do something. I was talking to somebody the other day that I can do something that's totally positive for another person, but that action can be hurting somebody else. You know what I mean? I could leave and go help somebody, and I can be in the middle of helping them, but the time that I'm there helping them is taken away from somebody that might need me. And you know what I'm saying? So it's a negative for them that I'm gone, but it's a positive for them that I'm here. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I have this issue, you know what I mean, sometimes to my own detriment, where I take that same logic into every aspect of life. You know what I mean? I don't hope for nothing. I just take it for what it is. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's gonna be what it's gonna be, and I made it to where everybody around me, I wanted to be like that. Like, listen, I don't want you to be how you want to be, how I want you to be. I want you to be how you are, and then I can decide if I want to fuck with you or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't want you to be like, oh, I know you don't like complaining, so I ain't complaining around you. No, you do whatever you do.
Yes.
You be exactly who you are, because I'd rather you be that way than knowing in the back of my mind you might be appeasing me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or making me feel good when things aren't really good. You know what I'm saying? Just because of these, and you add the human factor and all that, I was like, you know what? Hope, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? The thing that the person that might look out for me today might not look out for me tomorrow. And it's all based on what he got on his plate. If he's not doing shit and I need his help, I would get mad over him not coming. But if you with his daughter or with his family and he doesn't come, you know what I mean? Can I really hold a grudge against this person? You know what I mean? Or should I even expect them to come? So it's kind of like, you know, I don't hope and expectations. It's hard for me to hold on to. But it also flipped, and the bad thing about it is that I started accepting anything from everybody. And I think that you got to draw the line somewhere on some of that. You know what I mean? Because I would start taking people, like, even if how they were bothered me, I would just be like, you know what? I'm cool with them being that way, but then I would subject myself to like time and time over some shit that wasn't rocking with me or wasn't resonating with me, you know what I mean? And over time, you know what I mean? In the real life moment, it don't really bother you. But then when you 50 in, the 50, you know what I'm saying? That 51 might, you know what I mean? That shit might might really bother you. It might cause some turmoil in your life. So I try to take that same logic and just like, you know what, maybe I've been doing it right, but I've been doing it wrong at the same time, because ain't no balance. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was only taking, listen, you be who you are. I would rather a person be who they are, and the more weird or outside the box you were, the more I gravitated towards you. Because from my mind is that from my perspective, you living more in your truth than the other person that was just like, you know what, I can't do this because people are around. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? I can't say this because of this. You know what I mean? And so, but yeah, just different, man. And another one of my tangents. I don't even know where I was going with it, but
it's all good.
Yeah.
But you talked about something I think is very important, which is being who you are, and your ability to love one another for who you are. So I wrote a song about that. It's called "Who You Are," and I just wanted to share that with you.
Yeah. I guess so. With you, right? So I hear you speak on religion a lot, right?
Yeah.
And then, so I'm not a religious person, because I've read in a lot of religious texts, and I interpret a lot of separation, a lot of that, or a lot of what I consider judgment. Judgment don't sit right with me. You know what I mean? Basically, especially how I just explained. You know what I mean? How I am.
Yeah.
So I have this certain disdain for to religion to a certain degree, but I rock wholeheartedly with the moral compass that religion and foundation sets. You know what I mean? So I'm torn between the two, because a lot of it's kind of like, this really don't make a lot of sense. But this right here, I totally get this aspect of it, and you know what I'm saying? And so for you, the question I was about to ask is with your sexuality, right? Because I know that's a big thing when it comes to being judged through the religious spectrum. So how do you, being a religious person, balance that? And I guess what you maybe would know to be the judgmental eyes or the judgmental mind frame that you deal with in this religious spectrum.
Well, I take a more one-on-one personal walk with God. And I don't really focus on like, I don't go to church. Like, I don't go to a traditional church. Like, when I grew up, I was in church. I don't go to a traditional church anymore.
Okay.
But I have Bible study 3 times a week, and I pray every day, and I talk to God all day, every day. So, you know, I think for me, I've been through some stuff with church, whether I was straight or gay at the time, you know, because we're dealing with human beings, and we're all flawed, right? And we all sin. So I guess for me, I don't take a judgment approach on others. You know, if you have your perspective, you have your perspective, and that's not for me to judge or do anything for. Like, that's how you feel. As a matter of fact, last year, Pride, I've never seen this before until I came to Virginia. So these guys decided during Pride, they weren't interfering with Pride. They were far away, but they had a speaker so you can hear them. Okay. And
when you say Pride, you're talking about, I guess, Pride, like
gay Pride.
So the festival. Okay, I'm listening.
So they decided to do the festival, but they were there and they wanted to talk about God, right? But basically, their purpose was to educate us about how they feel like God wanted them to educate God to us, right?
Yeah, word.
I don't know if that makes sense, but hopefully y'all got it.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
So I interacted with them briefly, and I heard their perspective, and I understood their perspective. And they weren't hurting anybody, but they had their own perspective. But so do I.
Word.
You know, so I believe in allowing people to have their own experiences, and if you have a different view from me, I'm totally fine with that. That's your view.
Word.
Like, yeah. I'm not here to, you know, to take your view away. Like, that's how you feel, that's how you feel.
A lot of people don't think like that. You know what I mean? A lot of people, they take, you know what I mean? We are social creatures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So everything that we do is based on people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there ain't no way around it. I was one of the people before, like, you couldn't tell me that everything that I did was me. Like, I ain't doing nothing for nobody. I don't care what nobody think about me. And I said that for years. And I don't care what nobody think about me. And it ain't true. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people I care what they think about me, you know what I mean? And every move that I make is really wrapped around somebody else, if I'm being honest. You know what I mean? When I go outside and things that I don't do or I do, it's because of other people. It really ain't because of me. You know what I mean? I can say that all day, but I got a daughter, you know what I mean? I got a mother, I got a brother, and I think about them when I move a lot. You know what I mean? If I get locked up, if I make a stupid ass decision, it's gonna affect them. Yeah. And I care about that, you know what I mean? So to me, it was just, you know what I mean, me telling, I don't care what nobody else think. I do, you know what I mean? And I think we all should to a degree, but then again, I think you should have an ounce of how much you care. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? It should be a certain meter to that because, you know, I was just talking about my daughter. I asked her the same question for the representation project. Yeah. She made me leave. She made me leave the room when she gave the answer. You know what I mean? Because she 12. So okay. You know what I mean? But when I listened back to it, you know what I mean, it spoke to some of the things, like her insecurities is based on other people. Mm. And my initial reaction was to be like, yo, like, fuck them people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Like, what they think about you don't matter. Like, what you think about you is the only thing that matters. Yeah. But at the same time, is for a 12-year-old, you know what I mean, where her social circle is everything. Yeah. That ain't no good advice. You know what I'm saying? She's not going to really receive that in that moment because you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, her social circle is everything. She ain't lived life enough to really understand that logic. So I had to, like, pull myself back from trying to give her that advice because I wanted to be like, yo, don't worry about these other people. But then again, you know, same time, it ain't true. You do got to care. You know what I mean? Because the moment you don't care what nobody think of you, that's when you really make some real fucked up and bad decisions. For real. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Do you mind if I talk about something I want to talk about?
You talk about anything you want to talk about.
Thank you. I want to talk about being androgynous because people don't know what that is.
Okay, explain. Because I think I know, but I don't even want to play myself. So, what's androgynous?
All right, so it's when you display both femininity and masculinity, and that's exactly who I am.
Okay.
So some days you'll see me, and this is not about attire. This is all about that person.
For sure.
Their personality. So one day you will see me and I'll be like, woo. And then the next day you'll be like, girl, stop playing with me. Hey. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I just switch up on it like real quick, but it's really just me. But there's a misconception, right? With me.
Okay.
And about people like myself. Many people think that I'm bisexual.
Okay.
Right? Because they don't understand the Libra in me.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't understand. So we love people. Libras love people.
Okay.
Right? So I can look at a person and be like, oh my God, you are so fine. And that's it.
Word.
Just giving them a compliment. So my sexuality has nothing to do with me giving somebody a compliment.
For sure.
But it confuses people.
I can see that.
They be like, I thought she was gay. Why is she looking at this dude? Or
Yeah.
I thought she was gay. Like, you know what I'm saying? Why she find him attractive?
Yeah.
Well, that's a human being.
For sure.
And God made them beautiful.
True. Yeah.
So I can feel that they're beautiful.
Yeah.
And leave it there.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. I mean, you said nothing wrong. Like the only thing I'm smiling because my brain, I know why I'm smiling because my brain, I'm an '80s baby. So I grew up around like a lot of manly men, and so I'm 38 now. You know what I mean? So I'm more mature. Like I've let go a lot of this homophobia type of, you know what I'm saying? Like and it's crazy because when I say that, it was just how people were, you know what I'm saying? And I say maybe in my own little small universe, but even the homophobia was all towards men. It was never towards women, you know what I'm saying? But I've met other people that in their universes, they grew up with homophobia, included both.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I started realizing that, damn, this shit is, you know, for lack of a better term, homophobia is not like monolithic. There's not one way that, you know what I mean, you can play that. And for me, I was like, you know, I don't have any issue with anybody gay, but it was still some homophobic tendencies and way of thinking that I had in the back of my mind that I didn't even pick up on as that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until I started hanging around more gay people, and then they'd be like, yo, son, like, you can't say that kind of shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or that kind of shit is kind of offensive. You know what I mean? In those moments. But it was just, but they accepted me being that way because they know, like, you know, we know you don't mean no harm by this. But, you know what I mean? You got to, those kind of small little things is kind of like, you know what I mean? We hear that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So it just put me in keen to it. But the whole feminine and masculine thing, for me, I don't think it's interchangeable on my side.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Or maybe it is, but it's not accepted. You know what I mean?
For a man to be feminine and masculine? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but I'm only saying that based on an immature mind. Like my mind now knows the difference that, I have to, right now, I have to display some feminine traits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it don't mean I'm gay.
No.
But a lot of men, especially from my era, when they hear that, they automatically go there. Like, what do you mean feminine? Like, what do you mean? Like, you better walk around. Now, they automatically get, or you can walk around in a dress, or you're going to be dealing with dudes when they hear feminine, a man being feminine. And so I got like a lot of older uncles and stuff like that. And I, like, now I'm like, yeah, you sound stupid. You know what I mean? But in my brain, I'm like, well, I know why you sound that way because it's all you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And nobody's ever been around to reinforce that.
Also, I think that if you have a daughter, you understand that you have to kind of like be softer.
Yes.
And so being soft is not feminine.
Agreed.
It's no, I need to connect with my daughter as a father.
I, as a black man, I was taught different. And in the black community, and what I can say, a lot of people that I do know, we've been taught different. Like, we've been taught that being soft is not a good thing.
We have been.
You know what I mean? Being soft from where I'm from, like, you can't even say that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as a man now, I can be like, yeah, son, I got to be soft around my daughter.
Yeah.
And I understand what that means.
Or nurturing. That's another word. I think
Yes.
soft is not a good word. As soon as you said that, I thought about it. I was like, that's not the word. It's nurturing.
See, but again, I think that's the issue, though. We get caught up on these words.
Yeah.
And we get caught up on the meaning of these words and what it means to us.
Yeah.
And not really what it really means. Like if I'm saying like, yo, I'm around my daughter and I need to be a softer person, there's nothing wrong with me saying that.
Yeah.
Even though, and I can call myself soft, and there's nothing wrong with saying that because in the context of what I'm saying, it makes sense.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Now, if I say, oh, I'm soft when it comes to anything else, I can understand you judging me on that plane. You know what I mean? But only on that plane. But we got these things, we so absolute with our words, and things mean certain things to us and it shouldn't. You know what I mean? I try to move away from absolutes at all costs.
Yeah. I think that's that idea, that concept is what, when you was talking about that, I thought about fluidity. In the LGBT community, people want to understand it. They want to understand LGBT like a heterosexual couple. And that's the thing. It's not the same.
For sure.
But we do, I think as a whole, what's important is that instead of trying to figure out what is it that you like about a girl, or what is it do you like about this person? Sometimes you just need to mind your motherfucking business.
Agreed.
Like honestly, I don't wonder, to be honest with you, I never thought once what Michelle and Barack Obama did in the White House.
It's their business.
I never thought about that. I never think about what my neighbor is doing.
Yeah.
Ever.
I agree.
It doesn't cross my mind. If they're not causing me any nothing,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Real talk.
Now, if I hear them humping, I'm like, get that shit on. But if they're not, I'm just not really concerned because I just focus on myself. So I think that people just want to be free. And I think the bigger thing is that what people don't see with the LGBT community is this. Once we start to tear down one community, we start to notice the other ones. So let's talk about it, abortion. We think that, pro-life versus not. I don't really have an opinion versus one or the other. You know what I mean? Like, do you, boo? Yep. That's my thought.
Yep, your consequences, your actions is your actions. Yeah. You live by, I feel you.
Yeah, just do you.
Do you.
But I don't believe that a person's choice should be removed.
Yes.
In anything. Because that could be, somebody robbing your house. I'd rather somebody, I'm just throwing it out there, ask me.
Word.
I'd rather you ask me for $20. And say, babe, I'm just keep it a buck. If you don't give me this $20, I'm gonna steal your wallet. Here you go, dog.
Yeah.
Honestly, how many people, for real, that would just give it up?
Yeah, I agree.
To avoid, future conflict that would, destroy them or kill them or something like that.
Ego is the first thing to pop in my brain. Is that most people got this ego thing where they can't say things to people. They can't, and I know thieves. And I asked yo, bro, why did you take this? This is something worth $5. You need 20. Why didn't you ask me for 20? You know what I'm saying? You could have not taken this thing. And it always boils down to ego. They feel like they can't ask. For whatever reason, their ego gets loud enough to say, it's louder than the voice to say ask. Hell no. It's going to go all the way left. They're going to, you know what I mean? And then you play out all the scenarios in the brain of why you shouldn't do it. And then you got these 10 reasons in the lock in your brain. And you're like, nope, I'm going to find a different way. It's easier to just take it. But it's really ego. You can't, you know what I'm saying? Men struggle with that in all kind of ways. I got homies now, and I ain't gonna say my homie name, but I was asking him to pull up, pull up until we can podcast. You know what I mean? He's like, I'm gonna pull up. And he kept kind of, you know what I mean, slow rolling me and shit. Yeah. And it boiled down to that his car wasn't working at the time. And he didn't want to say yo, I need a ride. I can't get there, bro. His ego got in the way. He admitted it later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, my fault, bro. It's just ego. You know what I'm saying? I ain't want to just say I need a ride. Bro, son, I could have picked you up easy. Yeah. You could have came through and it'd have been nothing. No sweat off my back, no nothing, but his ego was screaming so loud in his head that he played in his mind that I was going to be like, damn, nigga, you ain't got no wheels. Or I was going to be just talking shit behind his back, I'm assuming. Yeah. Or I was going to look at him a certain way because he didn't have a vehicle. But that ego starts screaming for all of us, men and women.
You know what it is? So you hear ego, And what I hear is a challenge with communication, to be honest. And it's one of those things where people, and this is from childhood, you know, when they couldn't, all the way to adulthood, from childhood to adulthood, people, they weren't able to, probably they didn't get their needs met. They probably didn't have an environment where communication, it was safe to communicate, and they were able to exchange information without a consequence that was so harmful, that crippled them really. So a lot of times, right, in relationships, any type of relationship, friendship, relationship, whatever, we don't feel comfortable to be vulnerable.
Agreed.
We be like, oh, I gotta be tough. I gotta be, you know what I mean? Like how you said, I grew up in that same type of environment that you have to be tough. From the outside. I wasn't taught how to be tough from the inside. And therapy does that. You know? So I had to relearn a lot of the things that I grew up about external toughness and what external strength was. And then once I started getting therapy, I started to see, oh, there's internal strength. There's willpower. It's the difference between, like you said, a man who can remove his ego so that he can meet his daughter where she needs him. That's a different type of man.
Yeah. And the mind fuck about it all is that that's the strongest man. And even I can admit that when we say we put these staples like soft and, you know what I mean, we immediately attribute it to weakness. You know what I mean? And it's not, it's absolutely the opposite of that. You know what I mean? Especially in our communities, black communities. But we ain't taught that, you know what I mean? And then we have generation after generations not being taught that. And then they don't have the tools to pass down to the next generation. And now you out here living where you're not even aware that you don't even have the tools.
Exactly.
Because your parents wasn't even aware that they, you know what I mean, that they were lacking the tools. And then it just go on, and time gets the best of all of us. And, you know, it's relentless anyway. So then next thing you know, you got a generation without the tools. And you don't even know what you need to unlearn.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So.
And then there's a stigma around therapy.
I agree. I have the same. I look at it through that same stigma lens. Okay, so let's break that down for a second. It's because when the way I view therapy is.
What is therapy? Let's start there.
Yeah.
Let's start about the what.
So how I always define therapy, or how I always looked at therapy was sitting down across from someone that didn't know who I was. Okay. And for me, that was the immediate boom. Like, I'm shutting the door. Like, you have no idea who I am. And everybody that I had access to at the moment that therapy was even on my brain wasn't of my skin color. So it was another boom. Like, barrier. For one, how you can't even relate to my experiences in life enough to give me advice that's going to help me. That's how I viewed it. You know what I mean? So you think a therapist gives you advice? No, I viewed it that if I went to a therapist to try to unpack whatever I got going on, right? Yeah. They would not be able to understand it because it's like cognitive dissonance. Mm-hmm. If you're a white person, you cannot understand, no matter how many black people tell you what it's like to be black, you cannot understand it. You would never. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Same way a man and a woman. I could sit here and listen to women talk all day. I will never understand what it's like to be a woman because I'm not a woman. I'm not a woman. Yeah. And so I had that same, when I look across the table and see someone I felt that wasn't me or from any of my walk of life. Yeah. Like, there's nothing that I could say to you that you'd be like, okay, I get what you're trying to say. Yeah. And so that was my immediate, like, nah, therapy shit not for me. Okay. You know what I mean? Now, I view it a little different. And podcasting is the reason why I view it different. Because I'm a super introvert. I don't talk to people. I don't really fuck with nobody. Okay. I'm like, I move. Unless you're in a room with me, then I don't talk a lot. If we out in public and we out and about, you be like, damn, son, you just kind of in your own world. That's just who I am. Yeah. But then if I'm around my peoples, I open up and then, you know what I'm saying, it's all love and I'm a totally different person. But so being that way, when I started doing podcasting, it wasn't even that I wanted to do podcasting. I just wanted to get in the media production. Yeah. But I'm one of the people that I can't do anything unless I do it. Yeah. Like, you don't know till you know. Yeah. That's my main. So like, if I'm gonna start a podcast network, which is my aim, I gotta podcast first so I can understand what this is and learn all the pitfalls of it. I got to be in it. So in the beginning, I'm going to record a bunch of episodes so I can study myself, learn this thing, and then critique it, and then take it into the next level.
Yeah.
What happened was, after all these conversations, I would sit down and talk to people, and they would have different perspectives than me.
Yeah.
And we would almost not argue, but we would, you know what I'm saying, we'd be back and forth like, nah, that don't sound right. Like, you know what I mean? And we would go back and forth like that, and I would go back and listen to it. And then I started realizing that the way I was thinking and some of the things I was saying didn't even make sense. You know what I'm saying? Or I was so caught up and so passionate about this one little sliver of this topic that I wasn't hearing anything else. So it made me slow down. I was like, all right, let me start listening when people, you know what I mean? It made me listen different. And that made me start thinking different.
Yeah.
And then it opened me up to realize like, damn, maybe I've been looking at this, the way I've been looking at this thing different the whole time. Maybe I don't need to be carrying this resentment for it with this thing. Or maybe this is actually resentment. I ain't even peeped that that's what it was.
Yep.
Like, you know what I mean? So the conversation is what made me believe in therapy again.
Yeah.
But still, I haven't went, and I still hold with that same guideline that if I do ever make that step, it has to be someone like me.
Okay, so I definitely agree with that point. So the way I get a therapist, it's like shopping, right? Or going grocery shopping. So I'm like, okay, first thing first. I know that I want a psychologist. So I go and I look for a psychologist. I know that I want an LGBT, like I want them to specialize in LGBT.
Yeah.
So I'm like, check, right? So I got my psychologist, I got my LGBT, I need a spiritual person. Check. I know I need a black person. Check. I know I need a black woman. Check.
Word.
Right? Also, so those are the things that I know I need. Also, I know that I need them to they have to have a specialty in like trauma. Check. Right? So that's when I chose a therapist. First of all, I prayed for her. I have a black therapist. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, it's nothing like a black woman therapist.
I could imagine.
Because she don't put up with your shit. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're talking. I don't feel like I'm talking to my therapist. That's my low key, like my aunt sent from God, low key.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And like, you started off telling me, you was like, you know, you had a problem with talking, right? So you had no idea who I was, but you were open to talk to me.
For sure.
Right? And so the thing about therapy, and this is something I really want to break down, because that is not a space of judgment. That person is listening to you. This person is not even here to give you advice. They're here to give you tools. That's what, like, for example, I told my therapist, I was like, you know, I feel anxiety in my body. You know, like when I'm I feel every time I sit down in my barber chair, my butt cheeks tighten up, my hands get so I'm like, oh, I don't know if he's gonna cut my hair. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, I feel this. And she was like, okay, well, you do the body scan. This is what she said. So I would squeeze my hands, hold it for 5 seconds, release. Then I would do that with my whole entire body. I would, you know, with my toes, I would squeeze my toes. And so those people just really are unaware that my therapist says, hey, if you're dealing with a challenge, take a moment and breathe.
Even that just will help you.
Exactly. So there is a misconception. That's why I'm so glad that we talk about it.
Right.
Because they're not advisors. They're not financial advisors. They're not trying to tell you, hey, you should make this investment. That's not their job.
Yeah, and that's how I viewed it. I think that's how I viewed it for a long time. And I think that's how a lot of people of our culture do view it, especially men.
But see, here's the thing, though. People don't realize that somebody planted that seed. And just maybe they use that to cripple us.
I agree.
To keep us in a space where we don't heal. To keep us in a space where we don't have the emotional intelligence. To keep us in a space. And so it's something, again, this is an individual journey that I think that, you know, if you need it, you know, it's something that you can do. But I'm not here to tell somebody what they should do. But I did want to break those barriers down because I felt like there was just a lot of misconceptions.
There's a lot.
And I just feel like, no, I think it's okay to be black and go to therapy. I think it's okay to be white and go to therapy. I think it's okay to be Hispanic and go to therapy.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to be gay to go. I think it's okay for a man to go to therapy.
Yes, I think all that shit is right, and I think we were just taught wrong. Like, you know what I mean? I think that therapy is really reinforced in other cultures. You know what I mean?
It is.
And ours is not. You know what I'm saying? And it's some of it is planned. A lot of it is probably planned, and then the rest of it is kind of just everything been set in motion. Once it's in motion, you know what I mean? And you got this narrative out there that, oh, no, I ain't about to talk to nobody, talk about my feelings. Once you have youngins that come up and have people that look up to saying this for years, then I'm going to believe that as well. These are the elders that I grew up around. And they've been telling me for years, you don't need to talk to nobody about this. You know what I mean? This is how you handle this issue. And for me, from my perspective, it looks like they handled the issue, you know what I mean? So I'm going to follow that path there right. You know what I mean? And I think you can take race out of that. That's what happens across the board.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
people.
Because we're people. You know what I mean? I know people, you know, I know white people that come from racist backgrounds, where their grandparents are super racist. Like, you know what I mean? And their life experience made them a little different. But they still accept their grandparents, you know what I'm saying? But that's not who they are. You know what I mean? So, but people, man, when you include that people thing into it, then yeah, everything kind of shifts. So I need to loosen up my perspective of therapy a lot. You know what I mean? And maybe one day I'll get there. I've gotten way better. Cause before I was like, ain't no way. And now that I see the value of it, just by talking to people and having a conversation, I value conversation way more now. So I'm way more open to the idea of therapy. I ain't made it to that across the hill yet, but I'm at least more open to the idea.
My goal is to plant seeds.
Yeah. I think this, honestly, I think especially at this point in my life, I keep it, you know what I mean, stupid real, sometimes to my own detriment.
Yeah.
I think this, if I continue the podcast, this will be my form of therapy. Because you know what I mean, I'm open to it all. I'm open to unlearning anything that I got inside of me that I need to unlearn. You know what I mean? And it could be something that just doesn't apply to me anymore. It could be something that I was taught wrong. It could be all kind of things. You know what I mean? It could be something that worked for me once in my life and it just don't work now. You know what I mean? I need to unlearn that and I need to change my way. So I think if as long as I keep podcasting and being open to meet strangers and new people, and I'm not I'm not one of the people that just be like, oh, you're not like me, fuck whatever you got to say. And, you know what I mean, we just going to talk surface level. But that ain't who I am no more. So I think this is going to be my form of therapy for a long time coming. You know what I mean? Professional, I can't even see myself ever really leaning that way. But you never know. One day I might change that whole perspective. I might be like, no, I'm going to see a therapist today. But
It's all good. Music is actually, I used to say that music is my therapy because it was a part of it. So music allows some harsh truths to be brought to the forefront sometimes as the songwriter.
Yes, I can see
right?
that.
Because if we're battling something, for example, I went with Dear Daddy, which is the letter I wrote to my father who has passed away. I wanted to tell him everything that I never got the opportunity to say. So I put it in a song, right? And I never wanted to put that song out.
Why?
Because that was my song. That was my story. It was a personal song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You ever put it out?
It's out right now. But but actually somebody at the time, they told me, they looked at me, they said, Nick, you're selfish. And I said, what the fuck? They said, because do you know how many girls and guys, just people who also struggles with abandonment from a parent? They need this to feel seen, to feel heard, to feel like, damn, you know, and this song, I think, is the most impactful song I've ever written that connected with people in ways I didn't realize because I was just venting. I wanted to just share what I felt.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But until, like, honestly, I do open mics. But when I did an open mic, I had people that came to me who just lost a father, who said, oh my God, I just lost my father on Monday. And I feel I feel grief. And so now it started to open up a dialogue of, yeah, this is how I feel about my dad. And my dad did this or my dad did that. And to be honest with you, I never wrote a song that opened dialogue like that about real hard truths. Open people's minds, and they started to think about their traumas. They started to think about their pains. They started to think about things that didn't sit right with them.
Word.
That was the first time.
Word.
But it ended up being a blessing for me and others who can relate.
Word.
But what I discovered, that's why I said it's a part of it. So when people say music, it's a part of it.
Yeah.
So what it allows you to do, it allows you to get it out.
Yeah.
It's like speaking.
Yeah.
You know, you get to get it out.
Yep. When you can perform it, it seems like it comes out easier.
Yeah.
Versus just, you know what I mean, getting it out in conversation or like, you know what I mean, getting it out any other way.
But it doesn't heal it. That was the point. It gets it out. Oh yeah, I talk about it. But you don't heal from that. That's the importance of therapy.
Yeah. I'm about to say, yeah, because getting it out is only the surface level issue.
That's why I wanted to bring that up, because when you think about, hey, I talked about it, I got off my chest.
Yeah, word.
But when you go to sleep at night, those thoughts creep up in your mind.
Word up.
And boom, it tells you, I'm not done with you yet, dog.
Yeah, real talk.
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we use substances so we can go to sleep at night because we're tired of listening to these thoughts in our head.
Yeah, word. I agree to that. Yeah, I every time I hear stuff, I always try to like put myself in the shoes and be like, how does that apply? You know what I mean? Or how does that apply to me? And yeah, you're right though.
I'm only sharing my story, by the way. I'm actually not talking about anybody in particular, but I'm sharing my story, and you know, I had to go through these things in order to talk about it today. I had to grow through these things in order to, you know, just to be able to be on the side of it, to say, hey, yeah, I need healing. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
Like
it takes that first step. Yeah, that's I got my mind thinking about the shit. Yeah, that whole therapy thing is a trip, and I think it's necessary for a lot of people. I think that conversation is necessary for a lot of people to hear as well too. So that's dope. All right, let's talk about something a little more lighter. A little lighter. You got me thinking all crazy.
Yeah, I see it in your eyes.
I'm a super deep thinker, man. I be all over the place. Music. So one of the things that I ask people or tell people how to copyright music.
Absolutely.
So let's dig into that. So, like, give us some. What did you mean, or what do you know? What jewels or what information can you give people?
All right. So first of all, this is like, I feel like before anybody put any music out, the first thing you should do before you put it on Spotify, first thing you need to do is copyright that music, because you want to protect yourself. So a lot of people know about how, I can't remember the other artist's name, but remember Blurred Lines, how Pharrell and how they got sued for like $7 million? Yeah. That was a copyright infringement.
Because somebody else had copywritten the song.
They copywrote, I think it was Al Green or something. Don't quote me on the artist, but that you know the beat to Al, that sounds familiar because it's a sample.
Okay.
So they didn't get permission.
So what is copywriting? I guess let's start there.
Okay.
What is copywriting?
So copyright, and this is not the dictionary version, but it's basically you send. The purpose of copywriting is for you to basically say, hey, I'm the owner of this work.
Okay.
Right. That's it. But you're sending, like, you're doing it through like the government, and you're sending them your stuff, and you say, hey, this is mine. And in return, you pay a fee. And in return, they give you like a document that says, hey, this is yours.
Okay.
So that anytime, like, for example, because they had their stuff in order, that whoever that was that did Blurred Lines, not Blurred Lines, but you know, the people.
The Marvin Gaye,
Yeah, was it Marvin Gaye?
Or Al Green?
It was one of them.
Yeah.
The point is, because they got their stuff in order, that's how they had the proof. You have to have the proof, and that's the importance of copyright, because you're already you're doing the legal documentation by sending it to the copyright office, and you're saying, hey, this is my work. So if it's ever used, right? Because you always hear people like, oh, they stole my they stole. If you talking about stealing, then that means you ain't did your work. Because the people who talking about stealing, they not talking. They getting a lawyer.
They're getting. So all right, so that opens up the question. When it comes to music, right? Now, and unless you take the whole song from somebody, are you really stealing? So, like for instance, if I use the Al Green thing, right? With the I don't know all the specifics either, but if you hear something in there like it's not the same, but that one little itty bitty part right there, that's my part. Even though none of the lyrics, none of the thing how it was put together, none of the work to put it all together, I didn't play any part in that. But that one little part right there, that's my part. So therefore, you owe me some money. Like for me, like it's, you know what I'm saying, because it's like it's the art realm, you know what I mean? It's kind of like art you should pull from art. Art should inspire. Other musicians probably inspiring your music, or if you're a painter, other painters probably inspire you. But just because they're inspired by their work and some of your strokes might be similar, doesn't mean that you owe that person none of your work.
So I think that the difference is this. It's kind of like going back to that stealing idea, right, that we talked about. Ask. That's the problem. If you're going to use my work, you have to ask. If you're going to take a concept, you have to ask, and then we need to have a contract. The thing about it is, these people, they already know what they need to do. They've been doing it. These are not, people who haven't done it. These people that have been doing it.
Yeah.
So we can't be thinking to ourselves like, oh, they didn't know. They didn't mean no harm. No, these people, no. Because remember, all of these artists, these big artists, they have a full team running behind them.
Yes, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? They have the full force. These songs have to get cleared, not by one person. It's just not. It's not like me and you dropping music. No.
Yeah,
this whole thing this whole process has to go through in order for it to get to the next level.
But isn't that the issue with music though? Because it's like we know that the music business is bullshit, right? And a lot of the business practices that's being passed down on and on and on is bullshit. It was it's some of the shit that they wrote in place to take advantage of our artists.
Yep.
Or, artists in general.
Yep.
So, when we, I just, my only pushback is that at what point do we separate ourselves from these whack-ass business practices that we've been known to do? Because all that sampling the music and copywriting and all this, I can come back and sue you and take your money if you use this. A lot of that shit was used as tactic to hold us down and hold us back and keep us at a certain, we can come up with a good song and they can take the song, redo it, then go get it copyrighted because they got the funds to do it, and then say, hey, that song is not yours, and essentially steal it from people. You dig what I'm saying? So I think some of these same business practices that's my only pushback to the whole, like, how people move around, like, hey, ask me for permission or make me sign a contract if you're going to use anything of mine. It's kind of like, I think those practices, you know what I mean? I don't know. I think some of that shit is just rooted in it's just rooted in the bad businesses, you know what I mean? Of the music industry back in the day. It's just really just leeching off of us.
I do have definitely a different perspective. And the reason being is because I studied it. I took time to kind of study it from a different viewpoint.
Okay.
I believe that copyright was meant because people were stealing ideas.
Okay.
So if we ever heard about like big businesses, let's say if you had an idea, let's say the first person who created like eBay versus Amazon. Essentially, eBay was first. Amazon grew and went way past that, but it followed the same recipe.
For sure.
But they took it to another level.
Word.
You get what I'm saying? So the point is, that's not directly in my point, but the point is that when you copyright your idea, it puts like a limit on what somebody else can do, especially if somebody steal your hook. and then they go make $3 million off of a stolen hook, how can you be like, what can you do? This one, I think her name was B. Simone. Don't quote me on the exact name. She's literally pretty much stole an entire book off this woman completely,
and then
word for word.
Sheesh.
Put her own cover on it.
Yeah, situation like that.
Sold it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's
crazy.
So that's what I'm saying. So like, I do, there are some points as far as like the business and things like that, but I do have a different idea about copyright because it allows the owners of the works
to protect themselves. That makes a lot of sense.
From vultures.
Yeah, and I think in today's music, in today's society, it's necessary. Because like now you can make any song from your living room and put it out and somebody can literally take it.
Exactly.
And steal it, so.
Yes, and then they can go, and especially if they're a larger artist than you, they can take your idea, copy and paste. And now they just made millions of dollars off of your idea, but you never copywrote it. So how do you prove it?
Yeah.
And remember, you don't have that $1 million.
Yeah.
Because you just
you're just a regular person. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't have the budget to be able to get a lawyer for them to do all of this work. You know what I'm saying?
You can copyright it, but if
for
you copyright
for $80.
Is it per song or
No. You could copyright 10 songs for $80. So it's not just for the record. It's not beating you upside the head.
Yeah.
For 10 songs, that's pretty much a whole EP, LP, perhaps.
So, all right. So, how's copyright and trademark work in music?
Those are two different things.
Do you have to trademark anything in music?
So trademark is completely different. I am not an expert on trademark.
Yeah.
So I know that you could trademark names, you could trademark logos.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's not as far as like music and stuff.
Yeah.
Because like that's
Okay. So average person, a teenager just sitting in his house making some music.
Yep.
How would he go about copywriting his music?
You just go to the Copyright Office website. So I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it's www.copyright.gov.
Okay.
And then you sign in. They ask you a bunch of questions. Not a bunch. Normally it takes me about 20 minutes to do. Okay. It's not a long process at all. Basically, I fill out. Basically, they're asking me ownership. Who did it? When did you do it? This, that, and the third. And then at the end of it, after you pay your $80, you send them all the works.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Now, okay, so just random questions, just for the sake of questions. So say if I was an artist and I use, in the music that I make, the concept of the song is my idea, but I pulled the beat off of YouTube or something like that.
I only copyright what I contributed. Because you can copyright. So the thing about copyright, it's not just for musicians.
Okay.
You can copyright your like paintings. You can copyright your scripts, like TVs, movies, videos. Okay. Like you can copyright anything. It's not just music, but I copyright my music.
So do you copyright your portion of it? What I'm trying to say.
Yes, I copyright
the producer.
I do not copyright that was not my creation.
Okay, I got
so
you.
So when I go in there, when I go in there to submit, I'm specifically talking about my lyrics that I'm protecting.
Okay.
Because that's in my melodies. Those are the things that I'm trying to protect because that's my portion of the creation. I'm not taking credit for what I didn't do.
Okay. But you still have to upload the song because the song is the song.
I don't have to upload the song.
Oh, you just upload just the lyrics?
I could do the I can do the acapella of the recording.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, you could literally do it.
Okay.
You could copyright if you don't want to do all the extras. If you wanted to make sound, like the voice memos on your phone, you can make voice memos and send that to them. It does not have to be a professional nothing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
you upload a sound recording of your work and that's it.
Yeah. So all right. Is there any situations where people just create the same thing?
have no idea. I don't work for the copyright office.
Yeah, because I just wonder, like, because if I was sitting in the house and I came with a melody, there could be somebody in Wyoming just happen to come up with the same type of melody.
So I think that, okay, so melody that's a constant, right?
Even lyrics, though.
Yeah, but we all, and I'm not talking about every single lyric. I'm certain that millions of people said love and happiness.
Yeah. That's what I'm like.
Love is pain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what's the limit?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just know
pretty sure there is. Now I'm curious, and I'm gonna end
Yeah.
up looking it up. But I wonder if there's like a certain threshold for how many words that it has to line up, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would have to, honestly, as far as like the protections and stuff like that, I would have to like consult a lawyer to figure out like the technicality of like what you can do and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But even right now, I discovered that Roddy Ricch, you know that song, The Box?
Yeah.
This guy is trying to say that he sampled, like they took a sample from the song. Now that sounds completely different.
It don't even sound the same?
Absolutely not. Like it's, and they, of course, his song and Roddy Ricch, The Box, is completely different. Two types of songs.
Yeah.
One of them was from the 70s. The Box is like 2000s.
Sheesh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then it's like maybe a sound, like a chord that was played. That was a constant in the beginning.
Yeah.
But it's like, honestly, that chord is on the, you know, they're gonna fight that in court and figure that all out. But like it's certain things like what you're saying is like that same chord is probably on every piano.
Yeah.
That's on every organ.
That's what I think about.
You know?
Because in photography, I do photography and shit, and everything there's like with photography and media, if you change it 10%, you're able to use it.
Okay.
So I can if I took that photo and I was able to figure out if I equated and I changed it 10% of what it was. I changed the colors, changed the background, I added a little something to it, whatever. Even though I didn't take that photo, I changed it 10%, and now I can go get a trademark under my shit because I changed it.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, that's kind of, it's a little wild. You know what I'm saying? That you can just change something only 10% and it becomes yours. You don't got to create it. You don't got to put the work in. You could just get it and alter it, and it's good to go.
But you know what? If it's altered, you changed it.
But that's the same thing with music. We can say that Al Green song is not that song.
It's not. It's not the same song.
But it has a piece of it in it.
Yeah, but the piece is kind of very like when you play the songs back to back, you can kind of feel like they sampled it.
Yeah, but even still, if somebody took that photo from me and then put it right next to mine, but it's changed 10%, you can be like, yo, I can see that you got this photo from that photo.
Yeah.
Like I can see the shape of the flower the same.
Did you get permission?
Even if
that's the question.
You don't even need permission. If I change it 10%, I don't need your permission.
But in music, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It is what it is. So we kind of know what you got to do. So, you know, you just kind of got to, I think at that level. Yeah. At that level, you need to have your work towards having your paperwork.
Yeah, you know, I think about people stealing my shit, and I don't care.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? Because for one, I can't stop it, and for me, is more of a sign of homage. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, I think that if my shit's good enough for you to steal, then I must be doing something good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I must not. If everything I was creating was trash, ain't nobody gonna steal it. You know what I mean? So if I'm creating something that's worth some value, for me, that's the little place like, damn, I made some work good enough for you to steal and recreate and go off and do what you got to do. And for two, I can't stop it. Like, what I'm gonna do? Somebody take my picture off the line? Like, you know what I mean? Like, am I really about to waste my efforts? For one, I don't care if you take that picture and make $1 million off of it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna feel away because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. If you found a way to take my thing and flip it and make it $1 million, I gotta credit you. I can't say, oh, that's my work. That's the reason why it got to that level. Like, no. Like, you took it there. So the credit still lies on you, regardless of, you know what I mean, where it originates from, if we go on by the logic of you change it 10%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as you altered it or whatever, but
yeah, I
ain't mad. Like,
I feel you. I feel you on that, because so one of my favorite songwriters, he's not just a songwriter, he's a singer and everything else.
Brian Leslie. I don't know. I just threw a name.
No, but he's awesome. Eric Bellinger.
Okay.
Eric Bellinger writes from one of my favorite artists, which is Chris Brown. And Eric Bellinger was basically saying, like, I don't care, like, one of the songs that went, like, I think it won a Grammy or something like that, but it was Fine China by Chris Brown.
Okay.
So when the success of the song, he wrote so many songs, first of all, he wrote for all different types of people, but he was saying it doesn't matter that, to him, it doesn't matter that, I wrote a song and I gave it to Chris Brown or I gave it to this person or that person. The fact of the matter, because sometimes, depending on the situation, and I'm not comparing copyright to this, but what I am saying is sometimes when we get to a certain place, you know what I mean? And we can leverage our experiences. We sometimes have to sacrifice that first million for something better.
I agree.
Which is a new opportunity.
Yep.
New connections. Because when that basically is, networking. So once somebody noticed, like, oh yeah, I started making millions, he got a Grammy on this song, then guess what? They're like, oh shoot.
Yeah.
It becomes a ripple for, oh shoot, he makes Grammy Award winning records.
Yeah, changes things.
Okay, so now you get all these calls. Yeah, I need the song. And that's why he said it's going to be your favorite song. You feel me?
Yeah.
That's marketing at its best.
Credit is one of the things I think people should pay people. Like, at minimum. You know what I mean?
That's all I'm trying to say.
Just credit. Like, just give me my credit. And even though I'm one of the people that I don't really bother me if you do or not. You know what I mean? That shit is what you know what I mean? Like, for me, everything that I've done, it's only me that it really affects. You know what I mean? As long as I know I did it.
Yeah.
I don't really care about nobody. I done been to a lot of places in my life.
Yeah.
I don't really talk about none of that. You know what I mean? Because it's for me.
Yeah.
It ain't nothing for me to brag on. It ain't nothing for me there's nothing. You know what I mean? But it's something that the experience made me who I am. But me going back and being like, yo, I did this, or I was with that person, like, for what? Like, you know what I mean? I did it. I made it. I know what time it is inside of me, and that's enough. I don't move off outside sources, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I also realize ain't too many people like me. A lot of us move off outside sources, which is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's just that I just don't be giving a fuck sometimes, a lot of times.
Yeah.
To my own detriment, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just walk my own path, and I've been doing this for a long time, and it comes with it. Everything that everybody think you're gonna lose out on, most times you gain more of. Yeah. When you walk the opposite way.
Yeah.
And I'm always that guy, like, oh, we all going out over here. Everybody walk that way. I'm like, all right, cool. Y'all let me know how it was. I'm gonna go down here. Yeah. And I'm gonna come back and tell y'all how it was. Like, well, ain't none of us going down there. I know. You know what I'm saying? But that's always been me. I've always been that guy, because nothing y'all about to experience gonna be. You know what I mean? It's me. So it ain't about nobody else and none of that. So that's just how I move. But yeah. How long we been talking? I
don't know.
It's only been. It's been an hour. Okay. An hour and 12 minutes. It ain't been too crazy. Okay. All right. Last thing. I want to talk about your music. Yeah. And what you got going on, and you know what I mean, and let's celebrate you for a second.
Oh my goodness! So this year, hopefully, I just stop procrastinating, because I got a song that I want to drop on Mother's Day. It's called "Dear Mama." All right, because I got "Dear Daddy" dropped last year, I believe. I can't remember, but I think it dropped last year. But that one was like kind of bashing my dad, holding my dad accountable, and then talking about how, God and my family came and supported me and helped me through that. What? But Dear Mama is completely opposite. It's just kind of giving homage to my mother. What inspired this song, Dear Mama, was thinking about the fact that my mom would die one day. And I was like, man, and it was so hard for me to write this song, to be honest. It was completely hard. It was like I was grieving while she's alive. And that's not good.
Yeah, that's a weird space to be in.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, music challenged you like that. So this song was meant for all mothers all over the world, for them to see, like, let's celebrate the woman you are, what you did for me. You know what I mean? And it talks about the mother. I think that this song will connect with every mother, because this song makes every mother feel seen. Like, hey, I appreciate you. I know that you worked overtime. I know you always made sure that even if it was your last, you know what I'm saying? You got tired of me, you know what I'm saying? Anytime you had some food and I asked you like, Mama, can I get some of that? You're like, boy, I just gave, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I'm your child, Mama. You know what I'm saying? Go on and give me some of that. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where it's one of those songs that really like, it really like just recognizes my mother for the queen that she is. And also for mothers who are queens out there who have fought, right? Because mothers, not all mothers are like this, but a lot of them are. Their love is unconditional. And they deserve credit every single day because they did some very, they had to go through so many challenges. You know, mothers and fathers, both.
Agreed.
The ones who decided to thug it out. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Every parent knows that it is a 365, 24/7 job.
For sure.
That you don't get paid for.
For sure.
Blood, sweat, and tears all in there. So this song right there, Dear Mama. Another song I got coming out this year. It's called Groove With Me.
Okay.
So Groove With Me puts you in that vibe where like, you know, like the cookout, like when you go to the cookout, what songs do you think of for the cookout? Old school. Summer.
Yeah. Some OJs.
Okay.
What was some? You know, what's the name? Outstanding.
Okay.
Who's that? The Gap Band.
You gotta sing the song for me so I can know.
Outstanding.
Boom. Right.
Yeah.
So all of them songs that you just described. So Groove With Me got the same vibe. Okay. It's got that old school, like just kind of, you just groove, you know what I'm saying? It's just like that one song that you just, you know what I mean? But the one thing I realized, this is that like, this one, I thought in my head, I was like, oh, I want to make something that we can listen to at the cookout. But that was kind of current. Okay. You see what I'm saying? Because all of those things, those are classics. For sure. And I still want it. Like, I want to listen to every cookout. I still want all of that on my playlist. You feel what I'm saying? Especially September. You know what I mean? It's like when you hear that song, you just like, oh my God, this is like, you know? So, you know, Groove With Me is one of those songs where you just feel so good. You know what I mean? You just
Summertime
vibe.
Song.
You feel me?
Word.
For the summer. You know what I mean? So Groove With Me is just like that. I got another song. I got a lot of songs coming out for the summer.
So are you putting out just you putting out loosies? Are you putting out this towards an album, or is this you just putting out just loose?
So these ones that I'm telling you about, these are singles. Okay. Yeah. So we got Mother's Day, but my goal is that my goal is to put out certain music in the summer, like, because I got a lot of summer vibes, but I also got some, you know, winter, cold people, you know, it's cold time, you know, so music too.
Well, what do you consider your genre of music? Like, I guess.
Oh, that's such a good.
Because we're talking, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
What's your genre? What do you consider you make? What do you consider yourself?
Open.
Open?
But, yeah, because I didn't tell you about the K-pop inspired song that is coming out too. It's called Wanna Party. Okay, so open. Let's go back. So explain open. What does that mean? What does that mean? I am, and this now is starting to make sense why I said Nick I am, huh?
What do you mean?
Remember when you asked me, you was like, oh, what does your name mean? Yeah. And I'm telling you, this is when it started to make sense. Okay. I am a musician. In my head, it doesn't look like one genre. Okay. I connect with music. So it doesn't matter to me. You know, I can make a love song one day. I can make a pop song another day. I can make a reggaeton song one day. Okay. Somebody hit me up to do I think it was like a 70s or 80s to feature on their record. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's whatever my soul is aligned to. But if I can answer your question, I do a lot of pop songs.
Okay. Now I define pop different. Pop. Okay. Some people some people put a sound on pop, or pop stands for popular. You know what I'm saying? So is it the popular music? What do you mean, like what's being played right now, or is it like a certain sound that you're talking about? Like, because some people say, oh, Britney Spears is pop. You know what I mean? And that's the sound. To me, I understand pop to be popular. So whatever the thing in that moment is pop music. So I guess, but you probably mean it has a distinctive sound.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So The type of music that I make, as far as pop is concerned, they're very like bright, fun, jump. I got a song called Jump, but they're like very fun, free feeling type of music, and it's very, very high like energy.
Okay,
my pop music is very energetic.
Okay,
like really energetic.
Okay, if you get like a tribute to one person's style. So what do you when you say that, like one, is it more like Britney Spears type of?
I don't even listen to Britney Spears either, so I couldn't even tell you.
I'm trying to think like it more EDM or what.
So I that's another thing. I did some EDM, Afro beats on one. So I have an EP called Jump, but Jump has EDM, pop, and Afro beats on it. Okay. So it's a good, like, that's why I said I'm open.
So how many hours, you got a lot of, it sounds like you got a lot of music out.
I have enough music out right now, but I got more on the way.
Is it like all major DSPs? Do you have,
everything is, Okay. The stuff that I have out, it's all on all platforms. Okay. Okay. But the stuff that is coming, it will also be on all platforms. As well. Okay. Yeah, and I know some people that, music is changing. A lot of people are going the independent route, and a lot of people are trying to control their revenue streams, and things are changing. The dynamics are a little changed as independent artists nowadays, and I see a lot of people moving. They're still putting their music on DSPs, but the DSPs aren't like, you know what I mean, aren't going to be in the future where they are now. Like a lot of people are taking an independent route, like La Russell. I watch him a lot, some of his business acromens, and how he really takes ownership of that independent thing. He controls every part of his aspect of his album, how it get put out. He puts it out certain places first, so you can make sure, you know what I mean? So I just was curious on, so are you got any future for marketing your things any different besides these DSPs? I would say for me, there is still growth in the area of marketing. Okay. Because ultimately, what I want to do is save myself $2,000 a month. Okay. If I can take the time to, if I could pay $2,000 once for your knowledge of how I think it's search engine optimization. Yes. If I can save like thousands of dollars and just get the information, learn how to do it myself. Ultimately, I am a brand. Yes. At the end of the day, I am a brand. So ultimately, I don't want to have to pay, all of these people to do something that I can learn how to do myself. For sure. Because marketing is very expensive. Yes. Especially if...
Can be.
It can be. Yes. I'm talking about paid advertisement at this point. Sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not talking about like you kind of like doing your legwork. I'm not talking about that. But that does encompass marketing. Yeah. But so my goal is to take marketing to another level, and continue to expand. Like my first record that reached over 100,000 streams. Was a song called Ride It.
Ride It?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it what it sounds like?
Yep, it's that. Yep, okay. Yep. And that's an R&B song. So Ride It, thanks be to God, there was a TikTok challenge. This girl, she asked me, she was like, hey, can I make a dance to you? So I said, yeah, please do. And so it took my streams it took it up beyond where I like, at this time, I was having like 30 streams a week or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So I went from 30 streams a week to I started seeing 10,000 and then 20,000 and then 50,000 and 100,000 and beyond. And so I'm like, whoa. Like I couldn't put that in my brain, because this song went, it just did its own thing.
And it was just based on her making a dance on TikTok, and it went crazy.
And then, because other people started to, you know what I mean? And then it got to a point where this is how you know something happened. When your mama get a call from her boss and she like, oh, I saw your daughter on TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, word.
And so I started to go out in events, you know what I'm saying? And people would oh, I know that. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
So, and even my people, you know what I mean? My family, you know what I mean? It was like people would be like, hey, they would share my music, you know what I'm saying? With people like.
That's dope.
Yeah. So then it would all get back to me because they're like, oh, yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, I know her. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Word.
My folks like, I know her. Like, yeah, I got her number. You know what I'm saying?
Fact. Yeah. That's
so
crazy.
It was so beautiful, though, actually, the challenge. The thing that I loved about the challenge the most, to be honest with you, I saw all people loving on themselves. Dope. Even though the song is about sex.
Yeah.
That challenge, I saw women loving on themselves, men loving on themselves. And I took a step back. I was like, wow, that's powerful. I know that was not my doing. It had to be God. I know it was God first and foremost. But like, I was just like, that was so beautiful. And it was incredible. You know, you have a song that's about sex, but people are literally in the mirror loving on themselves.
That's dope. Yeah, I mean, the power of social media, the power of the internet. You know what I mean? But that's kind of why I said that about marketing earlier. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Because marketing is different now.
Yeah,
like, you know
definitely.
What I mean? The paid way works, but social outcry or, you know what I mean, just this whole viral thing is a real thing.
Yeah.
And if you be smart about it and strategic about it, there's smart, cheap ways to market yourself. I'm curious on how it's about to go with TikTok now, where it's getting scrutinized as of lately and talking about banning it.
They've been talking about that for a little while though.
Yeah, I think it's about to happen. I don't own a TikTok. Okay. I've never owned a TikTok. I've never owned a lot of these social medias. You know what I'm saying? I'm a dinosaur when it comes to some of that stuff. I struggle now even posting on my own social media, and I got so much content that I could post. Yeah. And I be like, I don't got nothing to post, and I got so much stuff. But it's just my brain. When it comes to social media, it's hard for me to click it over because I'm such a in the person, in the moment. Like, texting don't work for me too well. Like, we can talk on the phone, but even that, like, I want to be in the same room with you. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just one of them people that's like, I'm just old school. Like, yo, we got to be in the same spot. Yeah. I don't even, there's a podcast that I'm producing. She does all hers virtual. You know what I mean? She got me on there, but I was like, I don't even want to use this. It don't even sound like me because I don't do the virtual thing. Like, it's just so impersonal. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm just old school that way. So yeah, marketing has changed a lot in these last couple of years. But I don't know, man. This conversation has got, I'm still thinking about therapy. Yeah. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, my brain is still thinking about like unpacking all that therapy thing. And
that's the beauty of God. And one thing I didn't tell you that I am a messenger, period. Hence my name, Nick I Am, because I wanted to leave room for all that I am. Word. Right? I am a messenger. And I believe that God will place people in your life as messengers. Mm-hmm. You know, like to plant seeds. Like, let's say you needed confirmation on something. Mm-hmm. And then next thing you know, you read a post, he's like, you know what I mean? Or you have a conversation and somebody like, oh yeah, you should do that. Mm-hmm. And you're like, is this confirmation? You know what I'm saying? Because this is the second or the third time that this has crossed my path. Like, what is this? You know what I mean? So I really believe that, you know, I am a messenger. I believe that because I'm obedient to God. Because first of all, I asked God on my way. I said, Lord, have your way with me. So if my words evoke any thought, I know it's because God wanted it to.
Word. I believe in that same thing. That's why I do all this. That's why I believe in the power of a conversation enough to know that sitting down, talking to someone, not only for myself, but the people that can hear this, it's limitless. Yeah. Like the guy that just left out of here. Yeah. The very first time I met him was on a podcast. He came here. We did it in a different room in there, but
this is a beautiful house, by the way.
I appreciate it. It's my good friends.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
the one let you in?
Yeah, I met him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. Like in my head, I was like, I can make so much content in this house. Yeah.
Really, I be on the same way.
I know. I look so great on that black wall back there. Yeah. I did my video. When you popped your head, I was making content.
I saw.
Yeah, I sure was. But it went with my outfit.
You should have did. Yeah, I ain't even mad at you.
Yeah, I did. It's
okay. The very first conversation I had with him, we started talking about his son because he been in jail 22 years.
Oh.
He just came home. He got himself out. Yeah.
Praise God.
Crazy story, but he did 22 years, and we were talking about it, and we were talking about his relationships, like what happened with people that go to jail and their mother, their father, the kids, like all the because. I had an idea for a podcast called Blind Dangers, which is kind of highlighting that same thing, like the stuff the dangers that we don't even aware of, you know what I mean? And so he had mentioned his son and all the stuff like that, but I sent him the clips, and the clips end up making it to his son. And so his son heard it, called his dad up, and they've been having a relationship since then.
Oh, that's such a blessing.
So like just moments like that is just confirmation for me that, these conversations in general, no matter which way they go, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be beneficial for somebody to hear it. You know what I mean? Whether it be the person that's talking, whether the person that's sitting right across from them, or the person that hears it on the podcast, way down the line, or however it makes it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the reason I do all this, man. So the whole messenger, I agree with you. Everybody's a messenger in their own way.
Yeah.
Everybody got something to say for the most part. You know what I mean? Or a perspective that's of value to offer. You know what I mean? And I don't care who the fuck you are, you got something valuable to offer. At all, you know what I mean? It's
Absolutely.
just, you got to figure out how to package it up.
Can I tell you a secret that I didn't tell you?
What's up?
So first off, I should tell you that I have a background in psychology.
Okay.
And many people tell me, I'm not a therapist, but many people tell me, it was like, Nick, you should be a therapist. But I don't want to. And I'm a grad student. 6 classes away from getting my master's in business.
Round of applause for that.
But yeah, I should probably tell you. That's probably why that got me thinking about people. I don't just like throw it out there at first because people, number one, I'm not a therapist and I don't want to be a therapist, but I do have the ability to listen, to be understanding, to show compassion, show empathy.
That part, empathy is a big one that a lot of people miss.
Yeah,
I try my best to show empathy. That's what I've learned a lot. Doing this podcast thing, because in the beginning I got so many episodes that I never put out to the world because I sound retarded because a lot of times that whatever I was trying to say I really wasn't saying. You know what I'm saying? I was so wrapped up on trying to prove a point. You know what I'm saying? That my message was totally skewed, and you know what I'm saying. So I've learned so much about myself.
Can I tell you something though?
What's up?
I can equate that to music, right? So like, remember I said, I was like, when I started writing, it wasn't good. That's an objective view.
For sure.
Right? And so the beauty of like releasing songs, so like my first song, right, that I dropped, it's called She Bad, right? And people still really love it because I say you a sexy little thing and you bad and you know it. They be like, hey, she bad, hey, you know what I'm saying? So it's a vibe.
Word.
But if I listen to like, okay, that song that I first put out to the music I've done now, the great thing about it shows the elevation.
Word. Real talk.
And that is the beauty of, I'm not telling you whether you're wrong or right or like whether you should do it or not. Absolutely not.
No.
What I am saying though, I think it's important for people to see growth.
Yes, absolutely.
And elevation.
Absolutely. I live by that.
Because
same shit.
It's kind of like, like a ride or die chick. It's kind of like having a ride or die fan. You know what I mean? Yeah. Somebody that like, or supporter. Let me use this word.
Yeah.
A supporter, because when you were in this space, we didn't get the opportunity to see when you were in that space and how far you've grown. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Because you're saying X, Y, and Z. But if we got the opportunity to see the growth, it will be this is in my perspective. Yeah. If I was able to see your growth, I'm like, wow, he's really changed.
Yeah.
He's really, you know what I'm saying? Just like Chris Brown from like his first, yo, tell me, to where he at right now.
Oh yeah.
My
night
God.
And day. Night and day. Listen. You ain't said nothing wrong, and I agree. You're absolutely right. Like I live by that same notion that I just don't stop. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Because if I look at my old photography, whoa, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Night and day. But I always told myself don't stop podcasting. Like when I jumped into podcasting in the beginning, I knew that shit was gonna be trash.
Yeah.
Like I already knew. I knew that I was about to create something that I probably would never put out. But that wasn't the purpose of it. The purpose of it was to grow.
Yeah.
And the only way to grow through it is to not stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even though I got this content that I never put out, I stepped into an understanding that I know I had to go through that first. I had to get all that stuff out, figure it out, go back and listen to myself. And it was crazy because I used to listen to myself and I wouldn't articulate words fully. Because I was so trying to talk and blah, 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 blah. And I know what I mean. And the person I was talking to knew what I meant because we were on the same page.
Yeah.
But I started like, all right, let me listen to this 2 weeks later. I forgot about what the conversation was. And I'm like, what did I just say?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And it just put me on keen through myself. And then I started growing through it and learned more about and took that into my real life. Let me make sure I say all my words. Let me say the whole word. Let me make sure what I'm saying they're receiving from me.
Yeah.
Because I would hear myself saying something and the person wouldn't even hear that part of what I said. But I would be responding to them like, hey, I just said that. You didn't hear what I just said? And they didn't even acknowledge that they heard me. But I was so wrapped up in the moment, I didn't even catch it. You know what I mean? So it just taught me so much about myself. And I've grown through it. But I agree. Now when I start putting stuff out, it was still episodes that I'm like, I don't know. But I was, even though I was still like, I don't know, it was still one of them shits like, still put it out. Because people are going to hear it. Yeah. And whatever they get from it, they get from it. And they don't, is what it is. And then I can keep on going. And then what you're going to see down the line is going to be way better. I already know it's going to be way better because I don't plan on stopping. Yeah. So. Can I share one more thing with you? Yeah, sure. So when I started podcasts, just to relate to what you're saying. So when I first started, I hired a photographer and a videographer to come in to shoot a promo, take pictures, get a logo, blah, blah, this and a third. Yeah. And I watched it back, like how you saying. I watched it back, and it was supposed to be series, like different series of things. So the first the podcast was going to be series. Yeah, it was going to have different series, like because I was going to do it by myself, so I was going to have different series. Okay, I got you. Right. The first series was self-love. Okay. That was the first series, so I was going to do it about self-love. So I was so nervous. Like mad nervous. I was doing all kinds of stuff. But one thing I didn't realize is I was super nervous and everything like that. And I never put none of them episodes out because I felt the same way as you. I'm like, this is kind of not it. You know what I'm saying? But here's the truth that I discovered. It hit me like probably maybe a year or two later. That first podcast version, that wasn't for the people. That was for me. Word. God was building me up for the podcast where I was going to be inspired by the 757, the artists and the musicians and the people that I had connected with. Word. So that he could prepare me for the next level, which is to break out my fear, break out of fear, break out of self-doubt, break out of worry. Well, maybe I'm not good enough and maybe I can't do this. Now, what am I sound like? Maybe I da-da-da-da. Break me out of all of that so that I can be in a creative space and just sing, rap, and write. Word. And then after that, I started to like learn the music business a little bit better. Because I was like, well, how do I do this? You know, how do I do that? Yeah. How do I get my music videos on Apple Music? Open your mind up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then I started going down the rabbit hole, right? And you start like, oh, okay. So I'm like, oh, that company puts that on there and that company, you know, because I was like, I didn't understand at first, you know, especially my first song. I had no idea. You know what I'm saying? Where, like, who do I contact or how do I get my music on all of these platforms? Word. I had no clue. So I phoned a friend and I was like, what do I do? Yeah. And you know what they told me to do? What? Go look it up. They told me to research. They said, I cannot make this decision for you. Real talk. They was like, I'm going to give you an article. I want you to read this article. And then I want you to make the best decision for you. That's a good friend. Because they lead you to the water. They don't just go get a cup for you and bring it back.
Yeah.
They bring you down to the water. Hey, this is where you get the water from.
Yeah.
Now and then you gotta go do the work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I'm really still learning to figure out which. I still haven't found a DSP that I felt is the best for me yet. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. United Masters, and I don't want to talk about them, but I just discovered United Masters is not for me.
Yeah.
The only one that I feel like has done a really good job is probably out of the three that I use is TuneCore.
Okay, I heard TuneCore been around for a long time.
Yeah,
and it's very good splits for the artists.
Yeah, I think I need to try CD Baby because, right now, DistroKid has been doing me well, but I can't find my music. Not all my music, at least. I can't find all my music in Instagram stories. You see what I'm saying? So to me, that's an issue because that's limiting, how I can promote my music.
Yeah,
if I can't find it, if people can't find it, how do they make more content?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Real talk.
So it's like, I know I can find it, but that's not the point.
That ain't the point. Yeah. You need other people to
Exactly. I need them to be able to go. And honestly, I even noticed that certain artists, even Rihanna, like I can't find work. I cannot find work in Instagram stories.
That's weird. Well, I wonder why.
I don't know either.
I wonder. Yeah, I'm curious.
Sometimes you can't find all artists' music. So
you think it has something to do with like how much music there is? Because they say that I heard some crazy number about how many songs were being uploaded to DSPs daily.
Yeah, but
it's some insane number.
Yeah, no, I really don't know. What I do know though is I need to find a company that's going to advocate for my music all the way up. I don't want to have this experience where I'm trying to make content but I can't find my music.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
That sounds wild.
Yeah, so it's like if I can't find it, then that means that I'm limiting, you know what I'm saying, future supporters or my current supporters when they want to find my music, but then they can't.
Yeah, that's rough.
You know what I'm saying?
That's rough. That's super rough.
So it's still a journey, honestly.
So what's next? Well, I guess one of the main questions, like, what's the end goal for you? Like, what's at the end of the road? Like, is it you have aspirations to like write for major artists, be a songwriter for major artists? Is it the music that you want to be, to blow up? Is it what is it? Like, what's the end goal? You have certain thing you're chasing?
I don't chase anything.
Well, do you have like a goal?
Yeah, so mind? I do have a goal in mind. I envision and I dream of seeing myself selling out arenas.
Okay.
And being on large stages. Performing my music.
Word.
You know what I mean? All over the world.
Word.
I knew like this is something that's been inside of me since I was like a child. Like I always see myself traveling all over the world. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it makes me sad every day when I'm not traveling all over the world. You know what I'm saying?
Still can do it. Still plenty of time.
Yeah. But it's adulting that gets in the way.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? It's always adulting.
Always.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's at the end of the day. I feel like the only songs I would sell is songs that that probably were on my heart that I don't want for myself.
So your aim is really performing. You want to perform.
Yeah, I'm a performer.
Okay.
Of one of the things that I am.
Well,
I enjoy really just connecting with people and like spreading light. That's why like a lot of my performances are like high energy.
I'm about to. I haven't looked you up in your performances yet, but I will.
Okay.
Yeah, you got YouTube videos out there, right?
Yeah.
Are you performing?
I got more of my performances is not on YouTube. A lot of them are on my Instagram.
Okay.
Or like or TikTok or something like that.
Okay.
Some of them are on YouTube. Now I think about it because of YouTube Shorts.
Yeah. Okay.
So I upload certain things on YouTube Shorts. But like I do have a lot of music videos like for Ride It. I got a EDM song called Get Lit that has a music video.
So how do you find? So if I get on YouTube, what do I type in?
Nick I Am.
Nick I Am. Nick all one. Nick space I space am.
Yep.
So spaces in between
yes.
each? Nick I Am?
Yes.
And then what's the top song you would like people to search?
Oh, Ride It.
Ride It.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. because Write It, like I think it was like last week or the week before that, organically. Because of the sexual content on there, I can't put like a promotion on it or nothing like that. Like, so, because, you know, Google has their own bans, and also Google and YouTube are connected as far as marketing are concerned. So, like, you can't promote it. So it's kind of like marijuana, right? You can't promote marijuana.
Yeah, I get
but
it.
everybody finds a way to figure it out.
Yeah, a way to figure it out. Yeah.
Exactly, on their own.
Yes.
So basically, same concept, but for Write It, it reached organically. It reached 20,000. It was already surpassed 20,000 views on its own.
Word.
Just people supporting it.
Got to keep driving it up.
You know what I'm saying? They've been, you know what I'm saying? So that, I'm so blessed because this is like, you know, independent artists, it's hard for us to get 500 views. Let's just be clear, in a year. So to get 20K in less than a year,
yeah, it's a big
blessing.
Word up.
That's a blessing from God, like real talk. And the only thing I can do is thank all of my supporters deeply. You know, everybody who joined the Write It Challenge, you know, keep that song on replay on their playlist. You know what I'm saying? Add it, like, whatever y'all, how y'all, you know what I'm saying, shared it, whatever y'all did to it.
We're trying to throw it on the episode. I just been doing some recent research about the whole podcasting game and putting music on episodes, and
permission.
Some DSPs are starting to like give artists spins for being played on certain podcasts.
Yeah.
So it's still shaky though, because a lot of that talk is around the bigger podcasts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, bigger podcasts to get a couple million views a week. If you play a song on the podcast, do you get some of that? You know what I'm saying? Some of those spins as well.
Absolutely. That's yeah.
What would you want to say?
Like it's kind of like content ID.
Yeah.
Or like content ID or YouTube ID, whatever. But there's a lot, and this is what I was talking about when I was saying what type of insight I could give. So anytime, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but they're called, I forgot what pros are called when you break it down, performance rights organizations.
Okay.
So there is something called performance right organizations, but many people may know them as pros, or they may know them as ASFAB, or is it? It's not ASFAB. Maybe it is. BMI.
Okay.
I have BMI.
Okay.
So when your music is played in restaurants and indoors, or even at festivals or anything like that, on TV shows and stuff like that, the powers that be, they have a way to figure it out. Wherever your music is played.
Yeah, they're supposed to
pick
up on it.
Yeah, so there is a way, and that's why you have to, it's something called sound scan.
Okay.
So every song or EP, album, whatever, like artists should be like registering it with SoundScan, so that wherever, like, it's that metadata. When you upload it, it's that metadata. So you need to put that metadata in SoundScan. So basically, it's letting them know, hello.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's important for artists too. The metadata, that a lot of artists, especially music artists, graphic artists, and photographers as well, metadata matters.
Yes.
Because metadata on my photography is what sticks with it a lot of times.
Exactly.
So if someone were to take my photography and go use it for a campaign or something like that, if there's no metadata attached to that, it might not even come back to me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There might be no information in the picture. Like, well, we don't know where this picture came from.
Yeah.
And they probably won't be able to find you on the internet nowhere to really line it up. So the metadata, if you put it up in all your content, whether it be your videos, your graphics, all that stuff, that metadata matters. A lot of graphic designers, a lot of artists don't know about it. They don't keep track of it. They don't put it in their work. Even when I do photo shoots with some clients, depending on who they are, I include their information in the metadata of their photos. They have no clue because you can't access it unless you got it, you know what I mean, put it up on a certain program, but I still put it there. Everything that I produce, I put my metadata there.
Yeah.
Every single piece of content, photo I put out, whether it be a portrait shoot, a picture of a flower, whatever it is, I make sure that the metadata says Humble Vision, Humble Lions, or some kind of way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or the MCXI, which is the podcast thing. So some kind of way. So yeah, that's super important for artists. Get in tune with your metadata, because a lot of people don't. And you put stuff out there and there's no information about who made the beat, who the artist is. You know what I mean? No copyright information. They just throw it out there with nothing attached to it.
Yeah.
So people should get in tune with whatever metadata is being attached to whatever digital content
you're
putting out into the world.
Yeah.
It matters because people, it might be 10 years down the line.
Yep.
And it made it to somebody's hard drive because they saw it online, thought it was cool, they save it. 10 years down the line, somebody else get a hold of it, they take it and they make it to an album cover and so on and so forth. That metadata will tie you to your piece of work.
Exactly.
So,
and that's the point of registering your music, all of these places. Also, one of my songs, because I look at my statistics, one of my songs I noticed in some country, because when you go in there and you look at your statistics and see how you're streaming and all that stuff, you start to see like, okay, well, my song was played in someplace in India. I forgot the name of the country in that India, Asia area.
Yeah.
But it was the country, I forgot what it's called, but it's near India.
Okay.
And the people look similar to Indians, but they're not.
Okay.
And when I say Indians, I mean Indians from India.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about Asia.
For sure.
But I didn't know something. And this is something that many artists may not know, especially if they're independent and they're just starting out. Mm-hmm. Here's a great question. How do you collect international royalties?
How do you?
Now, honestly, I already set it up, but I believe, don't quote me, but I believe it's through Sound Exchange.
Okay.
So basically what you do, like I think this is the company name. I don't have time to verify it. But Sound Exchange works similar to BMI. So when your music is played internationally and you register all your stuff with all the metadata, right, to Sound Exchange, then basically you're telling, anytime your music, remember I said register it, you're basically, anytime your music is played internationally, you can collect those funds. Because BMI does not cover international, they don't cover everything. So you need to register with Sound Exchange.
It's expensive to put out music.
It is, because people don't realize all the smaller costs.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like just to, like for example, I think it's Sound Exchange. I'm gonna have to double check, but it's just to register. But the good thing is a lot of these things is like a one-time fee.
Okay.
So it was $100.
Okay.
BMI, I believe it was either 50 or 100. ASCAP the same, 50 or 100.
Yeah.
And another thing that I think is important for artists to know is that you do not need a publisher. You could be your own publisher.
Okay.
Or if you want to, you could create your own, your own publishing company, so that you can do everything legitimately.
Yeah. Word.
But either which way, you could just be a publisher.
You don't need the publishers anymore.
No.
What about managers? How do you feel about managers as an independent artist?
Okay, when it comes to a manager, I don't have a manager. I am my manager.
Okay.
But I feel like, what can you offer me? Because a lot of people, they want no. What can you do for me that I'm currently not doing my own self?
Yeah.
I'm writing my own contracts right now for bookings. I'm flying myself out. I'm paying for my own stuff. So what can you get me that I can't get me?
Valid. I mean,
And
when it comes to music, I don't know. Like my idea of a manager, because when I can only speak for me, is that when I was like, I need a manager because I got too much shit going on. Is that I wasn't keeping track of everything. Like I could physically do shit. I could go edit this. I can chop this down. I can make everything happen myself with my own hands. But when you're doing so much different things, you having somebody be like, hey, no, bro, you got to finish this first. Like that kind of person in my life would benefit me. Because I have a tendency to be like, go focus on this. And I could be doing stuff, towards the goal. But also there's like 5 minutes left on this thing over here that I didn't tidy up all the way. You know what I'm saying? That somebody would, a manager per se, for my role was to be able to be like, hey, let me manage you. Manage, not so much manage what I do or my own decisions, but just kind of oversight to be like, let me just help you maneuver through this shit. You know what I mean? Why? And you just focus on being you. You focus on the talent. You focus on all the stuff you got going on, all the ideas in your brain. You focus on getting them things out, and let me help you make sure that you execute everything.
So in that case, I don't need a manager, but I could definitely use an assistant.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's what my man told me. Like, yeah, you don't need a manager, you need an assistant.
Yeah. So,
you know what I mean?
yeah. So the thing about it is, I write my own treatments for my music videos. So when you all like start to look inside of, like when you start watching my music video, you'll see like stories. I'm not, I don't believe in just like being in front of a camera rapping or singing.
Yeah.
No. These are stories. I create this story. Every song tells a story. The visual that you see, it tells a story. Even Write It has a story. Check out the ending. You'll be like, oh, that's crazy. Like it's gonna make you laugh, because at the end of that, I'm thinking to myself, I'm also a visionary. I want every song that I want you to see. I want you to see. I want every music video that you see. I want you to be able to see the story behind it.
Right.
I'm just putting I'm creating a visual to tell that story. So when it comes to Write It, expect to see a woman writing it. It only makes sense.
Yeah, it only makes sense.
You know what I'm saying? When it comes to Dear Daddy, me like unveiling my naked truth, expect to see me naked.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So then I got another song called Falling in Love, right? I'm telling the love story for falling in love. When it comes to Get Lit, I'm on a yacht in somebody's ocean, getting lit with a beautiful model. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all of these things I'm showing you, right? I want these stories are extremely important to me. Every song that I write, that I put out, because it's a difference between things that I'm stashing and things that are going out. Those are two different types of things. But if it's going out, it's because it's a reason. It's a reason. I want you to feel a certain way. I want you to think like if I can like cause you to think, that's good enough for me.
Listen, that's my goal. With the photography, if I can make a person think, or at least interpret it, you know what I mean, slow down to even try to interpret it, I've won. Yeah. So that's the aim every time. I don't really care if you like it or not. But if you look at it and be like, how'd you, or where'd you, or what does this mean? Yeah. For me, that's enough. That's the bar. Either that, or when someone asks me, did you take this? When I ever hit that response, I'm like, all right, cool.
You know what's so funny?
What's up?
A lot of my music, especially in the beginning, people are like, you made this? And I said, yeah.
Yep.
You know, but on the same token, as far as my artistry is concerned, you know, when people like ask me like, oh, what kind of music do you do? That's such a tough question, because I just do music. Yeah. You know, I have different vibes. And after this, I'll give you a sample of what I got going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you can hear like how different really, and like just my body and my soul. I am music and music is me. So it's like, I've actually considered, I didn't think I would ever consider this, but I might write a country song one day.
I think you should.
I don't know what it would say, but I feel like country, like the thing, like if you sit down and listen to a country song, you realize that they're worse than rappers.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like honestly.
It's what do you call it?
Contextually.
TPT type, you know what I mean, vibes. Trailer Park Trash type. Well, we consider, you know what I mean, Trailer Park Trash. Like some of those same stories, the country songs. Yeah. That's what we put it in that category. So yeah, they be worse than rappers.
Yeah, I mean contextually though, like on what they're saying, like you know how like people say that like rappers like or they degrade women and how they treat women, but if you listen to like the lyrics of a country song, he'll tell you that he had sex with you and then booted you out the door. Yeah, but you didn't think about it.
It's because it's the inflection in their voice. Yeah. It's not aggressive.
It's not aggressive.
You know what I'm saying? So
it's like passive aggression.
Yep, exactly what it is.
Like a rapper is going to say it real hard like, hey, I just, B. Yeah. But a country singer, he just going to sing, I'm going to boot you out the door after I smack that thing on the door.
Yeah, something like that.
And you're like, oh my God, you're going to put me at the door? Oh my God.
Right,
you know?
Yeah, real talk.
But they're saying the same thing, but it's how you say it.
Yeah, it's how you say it, and also what society has plagued our minds with.
Boom. Because everybody, we really be doing the same thing for real.
Same shit. It be
You know
the
what I'm
same shit.
saying?
They vilify one side.
That's it.
Crack and coke, it's been going on for forever.
Exactly.
You know
And
what I mean?
one is shooting up, gangs are viewed to shoot up, people on the street while, the others.
It's a party drug.
You know what I'm saying? Then the other ones are shooting up schools, malls, concerts,
Yep.
God knows what.
Yeah.
It's
all kind of separation. There's so many levels of separation in our society right now. It bugs me out. I mean, I get it a lot of the times, and I think about it, but it still bugs me out. That's what our representation project.
Yeah.
That's just one of the reasons why that got that going, because it just, we so separated and everybody look at things so differently, but it'd be the same shit.
Yeah.
It'd be like, you're not talking. Me and my best friend, we argue all the time. We'll be on the phone and we'll be going back and forth.
Yeah.
And we be saying the same exact thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We just saying different ways, but we just we'll argue the way it's being said.
Yeah.
And then we end up like, we saying the same shit, right?
Yeah.
We're like, I know, but still. You know what I mean? But for me, I enjoy it, but he is enjoy it, just the banter back and forth, the conversation and shit like that. But people, we do that, all of us do that for the most part.
Yeah.
Most people are pointing fingers like, oh, I don't rock with that kind of person. Like, that kind of person probably is not that kind of person you probably think they are.
Yeah.
And even if they are, it's probably like that one little aspect is similar about them.
Yeah.
Everything else is different.
Yeah.
Every single thing else is different. You know what I mean? So same shit. But all right. Everybody can find you, Nick I Am, on all platforms.
Google me, baby, okay?
Google you.
Yeah.
You can make sure we include all your information in the show notes and all that good stuff and on the screen when we put this out. I appreciate you pulling up today.
Yep.
I mean, especially because you don't know me from a can of paint.
I don't.
You know what I mean? And we sat here and talked damn near 2 hours.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Great conversation, great insight, opened my mind up, made me think about some things. You know what I mean? I look forward to listening back to this, actually. You know what I mean? And pulling this out. So, any final words you want to say to people?
Absolutely. Piece of me has got to be I am motivational, but I just want everybody to know that if you have a dream, an idea, a business, music, you're writing scripts or whatever, you can do anything that you put your mind to. You can do it. You can do it. You have the courage. You have the power. You have the skill. You're brave enough. You can do it. You know what I mean? Don't let nobody stop you from doing what you need to do. Continue to love yourself. Continue to nurture yourself. Continue to pat yourself on the back because you're doing a phenomenal job. You're amazing. You're phenomenal. You can do all things through Christ.
Word. I appreciate everybody tuning in for another episode of Unorthodox Haven. Y'all know what time it is over here. All positive energy, good conversations. Pull what you can from these conversations and please use them to learn or unlearn whatever you need to. Stay positive, stay focused, and don't stop. Whatever it is, do not stop. Just keep going. The answer's right around the corner. The answer's in the ride, and it ain't really about the destination. Right? You know what I mean? I know that's been said so many cliche ways, but it's true. Just stay the course, stay positive, and understand that you can only control you. Until next time, peace.
Unorthodox Haven Podcast.